There's a moment in every relationship that changes everything, and most people don't even notice it when it happens. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't come with big promises or perfect timing. It happens in silence, in closeness, in trust. Because real connection is never built on what you do in public. It's built on what you create in private moments when no one is watching. And here's something most people never understand about love and attraction. It's not the body that holds someone. It's the feeling they get when they are with you. When a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, something inside him softens. He stops performing. He stops pretending. And for the first time, he feels understood instead of judged. That is where real attachment begins. Not in chasing, not in pressure, but in emotional safety. And in those deeply personal moments of connection, words matter more than anything else. Because the right words don't just speak to the body, they speak to the heart. They create a memory, a feeling, a sense of belonging that lingers long after the moment has passed. And once a man associates that feeling with you, he doesn't just remember you, he feels drawn back to you, again and again. Not because he has to, but because something about you feels like peace in a world that never slows down. One of the biggest misunderstandings about attraction is this idea that it is created by appearance, effort, or constant attention. But real attraction doesn't grow in pressure, it grows in peace. And emotional safety is the foundation of that peace. When a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, something very quiet but very powerful begins to shift inside him. He doesn't feel like he has to perform anymore. He doesn't feel like he has to impress, explain, or defend every part of himself. Instead, he feels accepted in his most natural state, and that feeling is rare in the world he lives in. Most men walk through life carrying expectations. They are told to be strong, to be stable, to be successful, to never break, and to always have answers. But behind that strength, there is often exhaustion. So when he comes into a space where he is not judged for being tired, confused, or even silent, he feels something he rarely experiences anywhere else. He feels safe. And safety is what opens the door to emotional connection. Because attraction doesn't just come from excitement, it comes from relief. The relief of being able to breathe fully without pretending. The relief of not having to guard every word. The relief of being seen as human, not perfect. And when a woman creates that kind of emotional environment, she becomes something more than just someone he likes. She becomes someone he trusts deeply. And trust is where attachment begins. Not the loud kind of attachment that fades quickly, but the quiet kind that builds slowly and stays. Because when a man feels emotionally safe with you, he naturally starts to lower his defenses. He becomes more open, more honest, and more present. He starts sharing parts of himself that he usually keeps hidden from the world. And in that vulnerability, a deeper bond forms. This is why emotional safety is more powerful than attraction based on surface level things. Looks can impress, words can excite, but only emotional safety can create stability and connection. It turns temporary interest into long-term attachment. It turns moments into meaning. And once a man experiences that kind of peace with a woman, he doesn't forget it easily. Because in a world full of noise, pressure, and expectations, the person who makes him feel calm, accepted, and understood becomes unforgettable. People often think communication is only about what is said. But in reality, the strongest form of communication is not spoken, it is felt. Your energy enters a room before your words do. Your presence is understood before you even explain yourself. And in relationships, this becomes even more powerful because emotional connection is built more through feeling than conversation. A man may forget the exact words you said in a moment, but he will never forget how he felt around you. Did he feel pressured or relaxed? Did he feel judged or accepted? Did he feel like he had to perform? Or did he feel like he could simply be himself? These are the silent messages your energy sends without you realizing it. When a woman carries calm, grounded energy, something interesting happens. A man naturally starts to soften around her. He doesn't feel the need to compete or prove himself in the same way. Instead, he feels like he can drop his guard. And for many men, that feeling is rare. Because outside of relationships, they are constantly expected to be strong, controlled, and composed. So when they find someone whose presence feels peaceful instead of demanding, it becomes emotionally powerful. This is not about being passive or silent. It is about emotional balance. It is about how you respond when things are not perfect. It is about whether your energy adds pressure or removes it. Because pressure pushes people away, but calm presence pulls them closer. Even in difficult moments, your energy communicates more than your arguments. If you stay grounded while emotions rise, it creates contrast. And that contrast makes your presence feel stable. Stability builds trust, and trust builds attachment over time. There is also something deeply attractive about emotional consistency. When your energy doesn't change wildly based on mood or situation, a man feels like he can understand you. And what is understood feels safe. What feels safe becomes comfortable, and what becomes comfortable starts to feel like home. That is why energy is so important. It is not about being perfect. It is about being emotionally steady. Because in a world where everything changes quickly, the person who feels steady becomes memorable. And slowly, without force or explanation, your presence becomes something he looks forward to. Not because you are trying to impress him, but because being around you feels like emotional relief. One of the simplest truths in relationships is also one of the most ignored. People stay where they feel valued, not used, not tolerated, not assumed, but genuinely valued. And appreciation is one of the strongest ways to create that feeling. It is not about exaggeration or constant praise. It is about noticing effort, intention, and presence in a way that feels real. For many men, life is built around effort that often goes unseen. They work, they try, they solve problems, and they carry responsibilities that are rarely spoken about. A lot of what they do is not for recognition, but that doesn't mean recognition doesn't matter. When someone they care about actually sees those efforts, something changes inside them. They feel acknowledged, not just as a role, but as a person. And this is where appreciation becomes powerful, because it is not just about saying thank you. It is about making someone feel that their actions matter. When a man feels that his effort is noticed, even in small ways, he doesn't just feel respected, he feels emotionally connected. And emotional connection is what builds loyalty over time. The interesting part is that appreciation doesn't weaken attraction. It strengthens it. Because when a man feels valued in a relationship, he naturally wants to invest more into it. Not because he is being told to, but because he feels emotionally rewarded by the connection itself. It becomes a cycle of positivity instead of distance. But appreciation is not only about big achievements. In fact, the smallest things often matter the most. The way he shows up, the way he listens, the way he tries even when things are not perfect, these are the moments that often go unnoticed in many relationships. And yet, when they are acknowledged, they build a deep sense of emotional safety and belonging. Because at the core of it, everyone wants to feel like they matter to someone. Not just for what they do, but for who they are while doing it. And when a man feels that from a woman, something shifts in his emotional attachment. He doesn't just feel liked, he feels chosen. And being chosen is a powerful emotional experience. It creates a sense of stability. It creates a sense of importance. It creates a sense of loyalty that doesn't come from pressure, but from connection. Over time, appreciation turns into emotional depth. And emotional depth is what makes a relationship feel strong even when life becomes difficult. Because when someone feels valued consistently, they don't look for validation elsewhere. They naturally return to the place where they feel seen. Every man, no matter how strong he looks on the outside, carries a world of pressure inside him. Deadlines, responsibilities, expectations, problems to solve, decisions to make. Life often feels like a constant race. And in that kind of world, what he quietly searches for is not more intensity, but relief. Not more chaos, but calm. This is where feminine calmness becomes deeply powerful in a relationship. It is not about being silent or holding everything inside. It is about the energy you bring into his emotional space. When your presence feels calm, grounded, and steady, it creates a different kind of experience for him. It feels like his mind can finally slow down because outside, he is often expected to be the problem solver, the one who stays strong no matter what, the one who doesn't break under pressure. But being strong all the time can be exhausting. And when he comes into a relationship, he is not just looking for attraction, he is looking for emotional rest. And feminine calmness gives him that rest. It's in the way you respond instead of react. It's in how you handle moments of tension without adding more pressure. It's in your ability to stay emotionally soft even when things are not perfect. That softness doesn't mean weakness. It means stability is deeply attractive in a long-term emotional sense. Because when a man feels that your presence is not unpredictable or stressful, he starts to associate you with peace. And in psychology, whatever feels like peace gets chosen again and again. Feminine calmness also creates balance. Because relationships are not about two people competing for control or dominance. They are about emotional harmony. When one person brings intensity and the other brings calm, there is balance. And in that balance, connection becomes easier, not harder. There is also something very grounding about a woman who doesn't escalate emotions unnecessarily. When she can stay centered during misunderstandings, it doesn't create distance, it creates respect, because it shows emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is something that builds trust over time. A man may be drawn to many things in the beginning, but what makes him stay is how he feels in your presence over time. And if that feeling is calm, safe, and emotionally steady, he starts to return to it naturally. Not because he is forced, but because his mind associates you with peace. And in a world where everything is loud, fast, and demanding, the person who brings calm becomes unforgettable. Not because they are doing something dramatic, but because they make life feel lighter just by being there. Most people think strong relationships are built in big gestures, perfect timing, or flawless behavior. But real connection doesn't grow in perfection, it grows in moments. Small, ordinary, sometimes even uncomfortable moments where two people choose understanding over ego, patience over reaction, and presence over distance. Because perfection is not what creates emotional closeness. Perfection actually creates pressure. It makes people feel like they have to act a certain way instead of being themselves. And anything that feels forced eventually creates distance. But moments, real, unfiltered moments, that's where connection quietly builds. Think about it. It's not the perfect dates or perfect conversations that stay in memory. It's the moments when you were both tired but still made time for each other. It's the moments when one of you was upset and instead of walking away, the other stayed present. It's the moments when silence didn't feel awkward but safe. These are the moments that build emotional memory. And emotional memory is far more powerful than surface attraction because it creates meaning. And meaning is what keeps two people connected long after excitement fades. In relationships, misunderstandings will happen, emotions will rise, words may not always land perfectly, but what truly matters is what happens next. Do you choose to protect the connection or protect your ego? Do you choose to understand or to be right? Because in those small decisions, the foundation of the relationship is built, and over time, these repeated moments create something very deep, familiarity. Not boring familiarity, but emotional familiarity. The kind where someone starts to feel like home. Because home is not a place where everything is perfect. Home is a place where you feel accepted even when things are imperfect. This is why consistency in small moments matters more than rare big efforts. A single grand gesture can impress someone, but it's the repeated quiet moments that build trust. The way you listen when it's inconvenient. The way you stay kind when you are stressed. The way you show up even when things are not exciting. These things seem small in the moment, but they accumulate emotionally, and over time, they shape how someone feels about you at a deeper level, because at the end of the day, connection is not built by trying to impress someone into staying. It is built by making them feel safe enough to stay without effort. And that only happens through moments, real human, imperfect moments that slowly turn into emotional depth. And that is what lasts, not perfection, but presence. At the end of all of this, the real truth about connection is actually very simple, but most people overlook it because they are searching in the wrong direction. They think love is built through intensity, attention, or doing more. But in reality, strong emotional bonds are built through understanding, consistency, and the way someone feels in your presence when nothing is being said. Because what stays with a person is not the loud moments, it's the emotional impact of the quiet ones. It's how safe they felt with you. It's how calm their mind became around you. It's how understood they felt without needing to explain everything. That is what creates attachment that doesn't fade quickly. If there is one thing to take from this, it is this: people don't remember perfection. They remember emotional experience. They remember the person who made life feel lighter, not heavier. The one who didn't create pressure, but created peace. The one who didn't force connection, but allowed it to grow naturally. And if you truly want deeper relationships in your life, stop chasing perfection and start focusing on presence. Stop trying to control every outcome and start paying attention to how you make someone feel in everyday moments. Because in the end, connection is not something you force. It is something you build moment by moment, feeling by feeling, until it becomes something real enough that it doesn't need effort to stay alive. And when that happens, you don't have to chase anything anymore. Because the right connection will naturally stay close to you.